Welcome to the Terminus, Marines. This is gonna be your ultimate guide to defending and holding the Terminus at all and any cost. Now, other guides give you all sorts of nonsense about this and that, or hour-long videos. It's gonna be a short, confined, easy to understand lesson on how to defend the Terminus, complete with leader guides, strategies, advanced tactics, and more. Things you wouldn't understand from just a standard look at Firefight Terminus. So let's get into the video. Hoorah, Marines! So what you're gonna want to understand at the beginning of your game is, who do I want to play? What leader in the arsenal are we gonna use in our fight against the alien barrage? Or human in some cases, don't worry about it. Now, as you can see, I've developed a sort of tier list for you to properly understand who's good and bad at defending and holding the Terminus. Now, look at this. As you can see in the first tier, there's Professor Anders. She specializes in sentinel defense. Now, the only thing that she brings to the table is Kodiak Siege. That siege is able to repel and defy the enemy force on their march towards the Terminus. The enemy will stop and fight the sentinels in order to break your line. Siege like that cannot be duplicated, and it makes her an S-class hero because it fights air, ground, land, and sea. Next up, you got Shipmaster in the S-tier class. Now, why would you suspect that Shipmaster's up here? Is it because he's got strong infantry, good versatility? No, it's because he's got invisibility. He's got shrouds that make your shielding and your protection in the cover of darkness better. And when the enemy can't see you, they can't hit you. And if you hit the enemy when they can't hit you, they're dead. That's what makes the Shipmaster better than any other Covenant leader in your roster. Next up, we're looking at Commander Jerome. Now, what does Jerome bring to the table? Well, there's a long list of things that he does. He's got time for heroes to protect you in the early game. He's got tons and tons of firepower on his hero unit. So his early game, strong. Defending the Terminus with him, easy as cake. And you want late game? This man's got Sentinel. You want late game? This man's got Omega Team, which can inspire your siege. They can hijack the enemy vultures, tanks, scorpions, grizzlies. There ain't nothing this man can't do with his hero abilities. Now, you could drop the garbage, or you could drop Omega Team and inspire and rally your troops behind him. Power like that don't come from any other hero on the roster. Sergeant Ava Johnson. Now, he's a hero of the UNSC and a strong contender for defense. He's got bunker drops to bolster your Marines in the early game. He's got a hero that can heal on demand, and he's also got mechs that overcharge and snap with the power of 1,000 Scorpion tanks. What does Sergeant Johnson bring to the table? Heavy mech forces. You drop a mech overcharge and send your little birds into the battle, they'll slaughter the Covenant, aliens, flood, anything that marches their way for the duration of the attack. Now that's strong. Now, in A class is Serena, but she really deserves Waffle class because she the best. She's got the Frost Siege. You just want Frost Tech advances because she will drop the ice barriers to begin with, cold to slow down the enemy. Her siege is rivaled only by Anders in how effective it is at slowing and bringing the enemy to their knees in a cold slurry of death. In the A tier, you've got Colony. He can drop your walls early game, and he can bolster your turrets' defenses with vehicle symbiotes. But what he really does that no one else does is he has a barrage of Giga Chickens. Now, you might be wondering, what in the Sam hell is a Giga Chicken? It's a chicken bolstered by vehicle symbiotes and attached with little skitterers. They got more health, more range, more damage than any other unit for the chicken barrage. He's got strong defense, healing, all sorts of things that'll keep your men alive and you in the fight for longer. Now, a last member of the A class is Decimus. What does he do? He has damage. Any unit you pump out has damage. It has Siphon, and he has abilities that give you more damage. Now, what do you want more than damage? Nothing, because more damage means more killing, and that means less bad guys coming at you. So you're going to deploy Decimus. You don't need Decimus. All you need is his Siphon, his Fury, his Battle Rage, Marines. Is that understood? You might be wondering why Voradus makes B class. What the hell do I do with Voradus? He's got things that help me scrap enemy bases, push aggressively. He's got goo. Now what does his goo do? His goo drop from the blisterbacks. He's got strong, heavy blisterback siege, the only siege unit of the Covenant, and he's the only one that can spice it up. He drops the goo with every barrage if you get the proper upgrades. Infusion Tech. Make sure to spec that ability, cause that will make sure that your blisterbacks are blister snacking on the enemy, dropping waves of goo, damaging and bringing all sorts of unparalleled death from above. Honestly, Pavlom might be one of the who deserves a higher ability. He has so many good defenses. Why does he rank so low on the list? Because he has no offense. You might be wondering, why the hell would I need offense in a firefight game mode? Well, let me tell you, Marines, when you need to launch a chicken assault, who do I want at my back? Someone who inspires and commands their units, or a really, really, really slow hero unit? Well, I'll tell you one thing, mega turrets, they strong, but they're not the strongest unit. They can't get veterancy, and that brings them down a tier. But hey, a full base full of mega turrets, now that's something to be reckoned with. Hell yeah, you want some eco rolling real quickly. Pavlom's got some good things, but he ain't the strongest leader in the book. It is nice that he can make his barriers invulnerable for a little bit, for a last defensive for your men. Oh, Atriox. What don't you have going for you? Super strong hero unit for the early game. Then you've got powerful abilities to keep your men alive. Atriox doesn't excel at siege, he excels at anti-air, anti-enemy. He sends in a battalion of his best Reavers, and they will blow you out of the sky with count 'em, 3 different abilities to keep them alive. You've got Unbreakable, you've got his Bulwark, and you've got Dying Breath. Now there ain't nothing that can bring down his elite unit of anti-air. You might be wondering, why in the Sam hell does Kinsano make the list? Well, she does it for one reason alone, and that is Hell Charge. She can bolster up her anti-air and push a very aggressive unit attack. You can also bolster your allies. Blowing up on death, more damage, more speed, that's what you want. You want your men to live and die hard. Arbiter is, he's very okay. He doesn't do anything special. The only reason you'd ever pick Arbiter is if you want phantoms full of grunts or hunters or something cool. That's about it. Or you might be able to stasis an enemy group and rally your troops for a counterattack. But you can only drop it so many times, so keep that in mind. Siege is unimpressive, and his units are also average. Captain Cutter. Now what does Cutter do? Well, he's an aggressive hero with many offensive abilities to break an enemy's base. Unfortunately, the enemy doesn't have any bases here, so what does he do? Well, he's got okay infantry, but he's got no way to keep them infantry alive like Sgt Johnson or Jerome. So Captain Cutter really falls low on the list because, well, he's okay. He doesn't have any bad abilities, but he doesn't have anything that's going to be terribly useful to you. Isabelle's in a weird spot where Isabelle's got some good abilities to bolster her anti-air army. She's got heavy metal and decoys. With decoys, you can project a whole squad of Wolverines as you're pushing the enemy, and then heavy metal them for some enemy armor defenses. She also has Ghost in the Machine, which can hijack an enemy battalion of vultures. Now that's pretty effective. When the enemy's pushing down the barrel with heavy air, you've got a way to hijack and even the odds, if you will. Her hero unit's pretty average among the Spartan class, not great for early game, and, well, pretty strong late game if you can hijack yourself a powerful enemy unit. Sgt Forge. Sgt Forge has a very strong early hero unit. He's got a Warthog with a Gauss cannon, pretty much anti-everything. The problem is, later game, he doesn't bring much to the table. He can drop in, he can cheaply deploy some armor for the mid-game attack, but after that, well, his armor ain't too useful. Grizzlies are strong, but you want hard siege and you want hard anti-air, neither of which he provides. He does have heavy metal, which is a pretty effective strategy to keep his men alive, but with that exception, ain't nothing gonna break that line. D-tier's Yap Yap. His early game is really bad. You start with cannon fodder, and you need to deploy your barracks in order to get actual units on the board who can defend the terminus. Even after you do that, all he has is expendable infantry, when all you want is anti-air, anti-ground siege. Now his heavy grunts are anti-air, but against a wave of vultures, they ain't gonna last too long, now are they? His hero units are pretty effective at healing, but with that exception, his early game is so bad that you might as well have given up the terminus before you even started.